how much you interact with the stream. So yeah, kind of like number one fan that Dante was saying. Sorry, I got excited.
Too much juice. Chrissy the juice bringer. All right, let's we'll quiet down and then we'll start talking. 30. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Jake Chapman and Chrissy Birdsall here with you. We're up on the radio deck. We're getting set for a Sunday evening affair. The New York Knicks in tonight. We'll have the pregame show on the radio side streaming via audio coming up in 1 hour. We're going to be on FM 104.5 FM in Central Florida. Brandon Kravitz will have Magic tonight, the pregame show, and then we get into it. If you want to listen on an audio stream, you can always check us out on the Orlando Magic app, on the iHeart app as well. Anywhere in the world, you can tune into Sirius XM or NBA League Audio Pass. Magic playing good basketball right now, hoping for a second win over the New York Knicks. It was back on November 12th. The Magic went into New York, and I don't want to say had their way, but it was a 17-point win when all was said and done, 124-107. You opened up, a 20-point first-half lead, and then New York kind of scraped and clawed a little bit, but that was a very convincing win, of course. It was Paolo Banchero's last game played 12 minutes in that game, and tapped out with that groin strain. He's still dealing with that. We're hoping to get him back sooner than later. Jalen Brunson got hurt in that game as well, rolled an ankle after scoring 31 points. That was in garbage time, pretty much. Missed 2 games. He's back out there, so we're going to have to deal with Jalen Brunson again here tonight. And it's a New York Knicks team that comes in 9-5. They're rested. They haven't played in like 3 days. They played 2 less games than the Magic have anyways over the course of the young year, so it should be a good challenge here today. Magic coming off a win. Orlando's won 8 of 11 after that 1-4 start. They've won 5 of 6, and they've won 4 straight here at home, including very convincing win over the Clippers the other night. Wasn't really a game for most of it, and ended up in a 28-point dub. 129-101 was the final in that one. Chrissy, where should we start? Should we dive into comments? Should we go back to the Clippers game a little bit? Do you want to go back to November 12th in New York? I know you've got some good stuff on Mike Brown and his post-game comments from there. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jake. Should be a good one today. I think we need to go back maybe just what this team has been able to do since that Knicks game. You talked about winning the last 5 of 6, and I think that game, especially playing at MSG, the energy that went into that. I remember when I was looking at the audio and listening to all the players before that game at Madison Square Garden, they were jacked up. They were excited to go in and try and upset a really good Knicks squad, and then they've just kept that momentum rolling ever since. So I want to go back to that, just how that might have served as a catalyst for this team heading into the last couple of games.
Yeah, for sure. Look, first and foremost, I'll put my 2 cents in. That was 2 days removed from the Desmond Bane heave against the Portland Trailblazers, which feels like, as we look back on it, kind of a turning point.
Yes.
At the very least, I think it eased everybody's angst as far as the fit with Desmond Bane, as far as the pace, all those kind of, in hindsight, ridiculous conversations that we were having at the beginning of the season. But, the bottom line was you disappointed through the first, week and a half, 2 weeks of the regular season, and things didn't quite look right. So you understood where it was coming from. You felt like patience was going to be a virtue at that point, and sure enough, it was. And I think, you headed into that Portland game, which is the second half of a back-to-back, sort of wondering what the rest of the season was going to look like, if this team was in trouble early on already. I think it rested your nerves getting that win over Portland. But then I think coming out of the win against New York, I think everybody realized, okay, not only are we trending in the right direction, things are on the up, but this could be the beginning of something kind of special. And you're right. It's been much better basketball on both ends of the floor. But really, I think the specific what you saw that night in New York was the defense, because Paolo Banchero goes out, still able to put up 124 points, but that was a Knicks team at that point who the previous 5 games were averaging 130 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
They were on a 5-game winning streak. They hadn't lost a game at MSG yet at that point. And Brunson got his 31 that night, but you held a Knicks team that gets a whole bunch of threes up and is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league to 107 points total that night, and you did a fantastic job of not just defending the three, but even running them off the line, like not even letting them get three-point looks. They end up with 36 three-point attempts that night. That at the time was 10 off their average, and they were 11 of 36. That is 31% from the field. So getting back to Magic defense, which is the foundation of this team, the physicality, you brought it to New York that night, and I know that's what Mike Brown was talking about after the game.
Yeah, and Mike Brown had some very interesting comments. He just said that they got outplayed. That's the best way to put it. They've gotten to themselves a hole in the first half. Orlando was firing on all cylinders, and Mike Brown said it's hard to come out of a hole when you dig yourself one that deep in the first half. He said the physicality, the team being able to get to the free throw line, that's the one thing about this Magic team is that they're one of the best teams of getting to the free throw line, and now in the last couple of games executing at the free throw line as well. He said the possession game, he used the stat which combined free throws, offensive rebounds, minus turnovers. The possession game 30-19 in that first half for the Orlando Magic. And he said that, the team, the Knicks, they fixed a little bit of that in the second half, but when you dig yourself a hole like that, it is almost impossible to come out of.
Yeah, that was the night the Magic attempted the Knicks at the free throw line by 10, 28 of 33, which is something that you're kind of growing to expect from this Orlando team. As Chrissy mentioned, it's a walk to the free throw line virtually every night with the exception of the Clippers game, and that was, I think, more to do with the officiating than anything else, but we can just leave that there. Orlando scored 20 points off 15 turnovers in that Knicks game that night. I mentioned the three-point shooting. That was a huge key. And then the rebounding, which is going to be a big key again here tonight, has been outstanding over the last 8 games. And this is a Magic team that is, let me have it right here. I've got it right here. Rebound percentage. They're 5th in the league over the last 8, 7th for the season. And that's something that against a New York team, it's going to be a big battle tonight. You think back to the Houston game, Steven Adams for the Rockets, and then Alperen Şengün. And this team is built sort of similarly. You got Mitchell Robinson, who's one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Technically, he is the best offensive rebounder in the league. He grabs 5.4 offensive rebounds a night, and he does so in not a whole bunch of minutes. He played 22 minutes the other night against Dallas. And then Karl Anthony Towns is sort of the Şengün in this scenario. He is a scorer. He's going to grab 3.2 offensive boards a night. That's 16th in the league. But he gets up over around 5 second chance points per game. That's in the top 5. So with both those guys, you got to body up as soon as those shots go up. And any team that shoots a whole bunch of threes, the Knicks average over 43 three-point attempts per game. Long shots mean long rebounds. And so when that three ball goes up, ideally, they're missing. And ideally, there's a long rebound. You got to turn, you got to hit somebody, and it's going to be a big hustle stats game tonight against this Knicks team. Any ball that hits the deck on an offensive rebound or a long rebound, we got to make sure we are getting out there beating them to those because second chance points can absolutely kill you against a team like New York. And we're talking about 2 of the best second chance points teams in the league. Wendell Carter Jr. obviously is our secret weapon in that regard, but Goga played really well back on November 12th in New York. The Knicks come in, they get it right under 18 second chance points per night, and the Magic get just over 18.3 second chance points per game. So the rebounding battle is going to be a massive key here tonight, and you feel like you're in a pretty good place in that regard. Everybody's been doing their job lately.
I think the Battle of the Bigs is going to be really interesting to watch. Mitchell Robinson, Wendell Carter Jr., two of the really centers who have been playing well, especially coming off of the glass. And Mike Brown said after that game that the Knicks lost, he said it was the first time that the team was beat on the glass and that they didn't crash. So you're going to expect him to come in and he is going to be emphasizing, writing it, drawing it down, screaming on the sidelines, crash the glass. And if Wendell Carter Jr. can replicate even some of that success that he had against the Knicks last week, it should be good for the Magic.
And if that's the case, this is always the trade-off. If you want to crash the glass, feel free. There's going to be points in transition to be had then. And Orlando, I mean, it's not just like a small sample size. The Magic are the second best team in the league in terms of fast break points. They're doing it night in and night out right now. And so if you could force those long misses, and if they're trying to generate second chance opportunities, that means Franz Wagner, Tristan da Silva, Anthony Black, those guys should be flying down the floor and getting points in transition. Franz Wagner comes into tonight, by the way, 6th in the league in fast break points at 4.5 per game. He's doing a bit of everything right now for this Magic team with Paolo out. Some nights he's asked to carry the scoring load a little bit more, but there are nights where he's been distributing. Having Franz and Desmond Bane settle into their roles right now with Paolo out, and their roles are going to remain pretty similar when Paolo comes back, just maybe a little bit less usage. But Dez is distributing, Franz is scoring when you need it. And if you go back to that game on November 12th in MSG, both of those guys delivered in a big way. Desmond Bane obviously was coming off that game winner against Portland, but in 34 minutes that night he was 7 of 15 from the field, scored 22 points. He dished out 8 assists in that game. And then Franz really carried the load, 28 points on 10 of 22 shooting, so both were very, very efficient. Franz had 9 boards. He had 4 assists. He had 2 steals. He had a block. And he had a mask. That was the first game, if I recall, that he was wearing that mask, which now it's kind of becoming commonplace. Feels like he's getting used to it as we take a look there on the monitor. I'm not sure if that's what they're looking at on the stream. It's not, of course. But we're getting a look at Franz Wagner lacing him up. It feels like he's getting used to the mask. Are you?
Am I getting used to the mask?
Yeah.
I think after he switched, remember that first game he had the clear one
Right.
that covered all of his face,
Now
and then now he's got the
Which
Birdman
I'm not even sure
looking.
how the one that he has now protects his nose. Like, it doesn't.
That's where the guard is. It's on the nose and around the eyes.
Okay,
I'm
maybe I
doing
need
like
a
a
better
little
look at
visual
it.
here
Yeah.
for the fans at home.
They got you. I think they got you on the little live warm up screen there.
Yeah, they got us on the corner
They
here.
can see it.
But it covers the nose, and that's
does,
all.
right?
As long as it covers it, because remember when he did break his nose, he was bleeding a lot. So you got
Yes,
to
he
make
was.
sure he keeps that covered. More importantly than anything. But lots of great
I
comments.
feel like
coming
somebody
in.
could just reach their finger in though and get to the bridge of the nose.
It's like wearing a pair of glasses. It's gonna cover the.
But it's
Yeah, the eye part is.
the eye part is open, so that way it doesn't steam up. But still, isn't the whole point part of it to make sure that you can't get the Three Stooges poked to the eye? Maybe not. Whatever.
Franz Wagner has not been complaining about it. I think even at one point he said with the new technology switching over to the mask was a big help for him, so he could help with his vision. And yeah, he's been playing really good. You can see on the monitor right there, averaging about over 22 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and just about 4 assists. He's been playing really well. But they said even in the last game, one of the reporters asked after the game that they were playing really well despite maybe Bane and Franz having an off day, and that's because of the depth. And one player in particular I want to talk about is Anthony Black, because I'm seeing a ton of comments about him right now. Jake Curb saying AB locking into his next season contract. So a lot of people saying expecting him to have a breaking out game, prying AA. Hope he keeps up the momentum today. And he's been playing really well. He's coming off of a 12-point game earlier on Thursday against the Clippers, and we've talked about this plenty of times. We were talking about some of the Mosley-isms, and when it comes to Anthony Black, it's about being aggressive. And I think after he got his start filling in for Jalen Suggs, we've been seeing him play a little bit more aggressive, playing to his style, and it's been showing on the stat sheet as well.
Yeah, and the three ball is still not necessarily falling for him, but one thing that I think is important to remember with AB is the scoring numbers are up, obviously. It's just under 12 points per game heading into tonight, but you're talking about a 7.5 point per game average through his first 2 seasons in the NBA. You're talking about a career 44% shooter from the field, and this year 48%. The turnovers are there. There's 2 a night, but he's got a much bigger dose of the offense right now. The ball is in his hands quite a bit, and coming off the bench right now, especially with Tyus Jones kind of still figuring it out, like AB's got the ball in his hands, and he's been distributing, but he's been scoring as well, and with him, it's a matter, as Chrissy said, of being aggressive, collapsing the defense, but then making a smart play from there. Aggressive is aggressive, and I understand that that's the word that is sort of preached to Anthony Black from the coaching staff, because he's such a smart basketball player. Sometimes you want him to go for his a little bit more rather than just facilitating, especially without Paolo Banchero. Everybody, at the very least, those top 3 or 4 guys, Franz, Desmond Bane, Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, those guys are being asked to do a little bit more, and to flying colors so far. They've all delivered in a big way. With AB, there's games where he's going to close the game out, like we saw in that Houston game. He was awesome in that game. He's like a fill-in-the-cracks guy who sometimes needs to be nudged to look for a shot a little bit more, and he's absolutely delivered. Now we got to get the free throw percentage up. We got to get the 3-point percentage up a little bit, but he is finding his way, and he's finding his spots on the floor, and it's been really fun to watch. Can we go back to Franz real quick, because I have a question for you and for the people at home?
Yeah, go for it.
Would we call it 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10, the celebration or the pregame milking with Mo Wagner?
I love it. I saw it was picking up traction on social media earlier this week, Franz and Mo Wagner. Jake, I think you did it really well, putting his hands out to milking the cow.
It's like this and milking the cow.
I heard Franz talk about it on ESPN yesterday, and he said it's just something fun that he does with his brother. I mean, it's not every day you get to play in the NBA with your brother, so I like that they have those little things that just make it very family-oriented, family-connected. And I think that celebration is great. I hope they continue to keep doing it. They did it on Thursday. We saw it on the Orlando Magic social media. Hopefully they'll get to do it again tonight, because it's been working very well. They keep winning when they're doing it.
Well, that's a good point. Now, here's the thing. Is this something that we see the entire team doing at any point? Or does it feel like you can only really get away with it if it's with your brother?
I think you could only get away with it if it's your brother. But maybe when they go to Germany at that point, get some home-cooked meals when you're in there. Maybe we'll see it become a little bit more of a family affair. But we'll have to see. Time will tell.
Is that Will Dawson? He says, this is the church, this is the people, open the doors, and there are or this is the church, this is the steeple. You never seen that one?
No.
It's look, here, it goes like this. This is the church, this is the steeple, open the doors, and there are the people.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's kind of similar. It's kind of similar to what they were doing. All right, this thing has gone way, way off the rails. And then Will says, only Franz and Mo, but we don't want to start milking it too much. That's a good one. That is a good one. That's my guy. Yeah. That's my guy right there. All right, what do you want to talk about now?
All right, one thing I want to talk about is because I see Jalen Suggs on the court, although I think he's about to go off right now, is that I saw a few comments about, how has he been doing? How's everything going? Obviously, he was on a minutes restriction. We're starting to see that get lifted a little bit. Man, he was an Energizer bunny on Thursday. 23 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and a pair of blocks. He was doing everything on the court on Thursday. And I feel like after the game, hearing him talk to the media, he feels like he was very confident. He said, I'm not trying to get back to my former self, but I'm just trying to be this new version of myself, evolve myself, continuing to evolve. And I think we're starting to see a new wave of Jalen Suggs here.
Yeah, it's amazing what healthy and I think confident in his own body Jalen Suggs looks like. He wouldn't be chucking himself all over the floor if he wasn't positive he's going to get up and feel better about it. And so getting over that mental hurdle, I think, from the trochlea injury, obviously didn't see him through training camp. Once he felt like, okay, I can trust it and I can be myself, then there was nowhere to go but up. And that guy is so damn important to what this team does, especially with Mo Wagner out. Like, if you ever listen to the radio broadcast, we call Mo Wagner the juice bringer. And Jalen's the juice man right now. He brings it night to night, be it at home or out on the road. Certainly, it's like a special dynamic in home in front of the Kia Center fans. But he was all over the place the other night. I thought he played harder than everybody in Clipper Red. And, no more evident than that sequence where he's hitting the floor for the loose ball, getting up, flying down the floor, gets the lob for Goga. But he's just all over the place right now. He's like a bull in a china shop, but in a good way. And if you look at net rating, and I've been tracking this all season because it's a good number, and for people who don't know, it's basically just how good is your team when you're on the floor per 100 possessions. It's a pace-adjusted stat. And Jalen is a plus 17.5 right now. So per 100 possessions, the Magic are 17.5 points better than their opponent when Jalen Suggs is on the floor. If you look at it for, across the entire NBA net rating, all of the top guys are on the best teams, right? And so Jalen Suggs is 7th in the NBA in net rating for guys who actually play, if you put a games played and a minutes minimum on there. And the other 7 guys in the top 8 are all either Denver Nuggets or Oklahoma City Thunder players. And then you got a whole bunch of Rockets and some Celtics on there. Jalen Suggs is, and granted, it's not in 33 minutes a night. It's closer to 25 minutes a night. But when he's on the floor, it's not even like an X factor. It's like an X, Y, and Z factor. Like, he makes his team complete. And he has been so good on both sides of the ball this year. The numbers, the percentages are coming down maybe a little bit, but Dante always calls him the heart and soul of this team, and I don't think that's been any more evident than through the first 15 games of this season.
Yeah, he's been playing absolutely incredible. And as those minutes continue to climb up, I feel like we're starting to see that confidence emerge as well. And I think Thursday's performance really encapsulated just where he's at right now in his recovery process. I know Coach Mosley said after the game they were going to continue to evaluate him, see if he still needs that restriction, especially when you're coming into a back-to-back like you have today versus the Knicks, then at Boston tomorrow. Should be interesting to see what they do there. But that's where that depth comes in. And we talked about Anthony Black. We talked about Goga Batadze. Jonathan Isaac had himself a really good game. 9 points. That all happened within the span of about 5 minutes. And Tristan Da Silva, who's currently starting for Paulo Banchero as well, has been playing great.
Let's see. We got some comments coming in. Jake Curve says, if we can fit Paulo into this system as a somewhat final boss type option, we're Eastern Conference Finals bound. I like kind of the comparison. And that's sort of the idea, right? Is like, I think when Paulo comes back, it's like the cherry on top. We know what Paulo brings. Paulo was obviously working before his injury at at distributing more, as being more of an offensive hub. You saw the assist numbers jump. And so right now, I think it's just a matter of kind of plopping him on top and going from there. He was defending really well. He was rebounding really well at the beginning of the season. And so there's absolutely no reason that having Paolo back. Jake Chapman, Chrissy Birdsall, it's been our pleasure. We're going to send you down to the floor. Go Magic.
Coach, as you look back at that win over the Knicks a week or two ago, it was one of the wins that started to catapult you guys on this streak and the way you guys are playing. What did you like about the tone your group set in that game, and how have they been able to carry it over since?
I think it started with the defensive side of the ball. Our ability to sit down and get stops, to get out and run, which led to some easy baskets. The ball was moving, we shared it, 29 assists, 33 fast break points, crashing glass, all the things that we talk about in our process. Our ability to do that consistently was good.
That game was also the last time Tyler played. Just how is he progressing?
He's doing still doing non-contact work.
Jamal, I know it's about the team, but where would your team be right now without Chris?
I really do believe that each guy just has a team spirit. He's one of those guys that has stepped into his role and what he's been.
give the people what they want, cause I got it. I ain't lying. Locked in, I do it just for profit. I ain't lying. Love it how I break it down just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I run the town just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I break it down just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I run the town just like that. I ain't lying. Who said they could top me? Step in the place, I steal the show. Said they had been checking for me, ain't never seen my type before. Love to see me coming, but my haters might just shed a tear. Cause when I put that hammer down, I bet you this whole room clear. Ain't no competition, it's against just me, myself, and I. Checking in the mirror, thinking, how could one chick be so fly? I'm from another dimension. Now that I got your attention, tell me who can do it better. Never the two, never the lesser. Why you
Down presented by Hard Rock Bet. I'm your host, West 2 sports anchor Kristen Lago, filling in for Kendra Douglas. Today, the Magic wrapping up a 3-game homestand at home here at the Kia Center against an Eastern Conference rival in the New York Knicks. That is a game, of course, you can catch on FanDuel Sports Network or watch it on the app. The boys will get you started with their pregame show beginning at 4:30, followed by tip-off from the Kia Center here at 5 p.m. The Magic coming into this afternoon's game with a lot of momentum coming up, back-to-back wins over the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers. Head coach Jamal Mosley said Tuesday night that he was so proud of the way this team didn't get sucked into the show that is Steph Curry and the Warriors. Well, the same could be said after Thursday night's win. They didn't get sucked into the show that is the beard in James Harden and the Los Angeles Clippers. And you know what? James Harden still showcased that he is performing at an all-star level, had 31 points in the contest, but Magic able to overcome that performance because what we saw was balanced, team-oriented basketball. That's when the Orlando Magic are really at their best. Their identity is all about turning their defense into offense, scoring in transition, and we saw that more here at the Kia Center on Thursday night. It was the Jalen Suggs experience during the first half at 20 points during the first 2 frames. We're going to get to his performance in just a second, but he wasn't the only one that put on a show. We saw 6 different scorers finish in double figures. And what that means is you can really see the chemistry that this group is developing on the court and the depth of this roster coming into light. James Harden and Zubac, the only 2 Clippers that finished in double figures. So the Magic, they took Jamal Mosley's message of sitting down and guarding to heart. We saw him say that over and over again during the Magic's early struggles early on this season. They have really focused on their defensive identity, and that's helping them to get wins like this. And we saw them have a lot of fun on the court, which is always exciting if you're a Magic fan watching what they can do. So 5 wins over their last 6 games now. The Magic really starting to find their flow, and it's showing in the stat lines as well. I know we can see it in the comments. Everybody really excited about the way the Magic are performing right now. And we heard from Jamal Mosley pregame just now, and when he reflected back on Thursday night's win, he mentioned this: 41 fast break points. That's the most for the franchise in over 25 years. Getting out and running, so key to what the Magic want to do and for them to see success. You see the end of game stat line there, 121 to 101. They were out-rebounded, but had more assists, so they're creating shots for their teammates, shooting at a very high clip, over 50% from the field. And the big one there, 93% from the penalty stripe. The little margins of the game, so important to what the Magic want to do. You have to focus on the little details, and we've seen the Magic hone in on those over the last 2 games, and they're going to look to do so coming into tonight. But that win, a huge momentum shift in the Magic's favor. Here's what Jamal Mosley and the guys had to say after that win on Thursday night.
How gratifying is it to see performances like this from him, just diving for loose balls and doing what he does?
Doing what he does. I think that's part of what makes Jalen Jalen. His ability to do all the little things, putting his body on the line for those moments, making those hustle plays. I mean, he's going for blocks on, 7-footers. Coming down the lane, but those are big plays for us. He made the big play the other night in Golden State, getting a block to, finish the game off. So it's who he is, it's what he does. We need that from him. And as he continues to get back into, pure form, I think that's a big key for us.
What did you like about your group's ability to get stops and get out and run tonight?
I think it's great. Obviously, like you said, it starts with the stops. And I think we've had really good intention for the past couple of weeks just in terms of how we're redefending, the level of intensity we're defending at, the impact that it can have on the games that we're playing. I think we put so much effort, both mentally and physically, into getting our offense into a great space, so that we can execute really well when we need it. But I thought it was a good reminder early that our identity, and I think what has really made us elite over the past couple of years has been our defense. So how do you continue to improve the offense and give that the attention it needs without losing what we've built up on that end. And I think we've had some good conversations over it. We've had a couple great practices of getting some high intensity reps and really feeling our rotations, our one-on-one guarding, and our boxing out and finishing possessions. And then from that point, I think just the throw heads have been amazing. It's less of pushing the ball, even though there are times that call for it, and more so the diagonals, the over the tops, all of those things. The ball moves faster than bodies, and in transition, it makes it really hard to guard when the ball is flying and you got to turn heads really quickly. So I thought it was great. Coaches asked for it, and I think that we really hit home on it tonight. So shout out all the guys.
Welcome back to Courtside Countdown, presented by Hard Rock Bet. This is the point of our show where I officially feel complete because Dan Savage is back in the seat next to me. Dan, welcome back at the Kia Center, wrapping up a 3-game homestand.
I know, and we had such a good run with these last 2 games, and it felt like all the stuff we talked about in that game against the Clippers came to fruition over the course of that game. So hopefully we can have the same effect tonight.
So you're saying we're the secret sauce?
We might be. We might be.
The Magic playing in their 5th game tonight, though, without Paolo Banchero. We know I can only imagine how hard it is for him to sit on the sidelines, but what a welcome sight to see his teammates really stepping up in his absence. And it really starts with the masked man. I know he hates the mask, but Franz Wagner has been a menace in the mask over the last couple of games.
Yeah, with Paolo Banchero out of the lineup, more is required of Franz in terms of playmaking, defending. You go up and down and name it, it falls on his plate. But Franz, along with his teammates like Tristan da Silva, have done an excellent job stepping up in Paolo's absence, and it makes it a little bit easier to stomach having to sit out if your team's racking up victories along the way.
What did you see specifically from him in Thursday night's game against the Clippers, and how he, especially, I know it took him a minute to find a shot, but once he settled in, how he performed overall?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. His attitude from the game, from the jump, is always so contagious because he's a player who's so locked in. And when you talk about star-level players in this league, all-star players, especially ones that can perform on the offensive end, so often they're guarding the weakest player on the other side. And Franz so often gets tasked with tough covers. He sets the tone on the defensive end. And I think for a Magic team that prides itself in that, he really excels in turning things into transition and having an effect at the other end. And when you talk about the top transition scorers in the NBA, Franz cracks the top 5 in terms of transition shooting percentage. So he's been so effective at turning those stops into makes.
And I have to say, he really is that key cog, especially when Jamal Mosley talks about the Magic want to score points in the paint, right? Points in the paint is their bread and butter. Getting out and running in transition. Franz Wagner really is the epitome of all of that for the Magic.
Oh, no question. And his ability both to push the pace, be effective with it, make the right read, not turn it over, as you see some players do throughout the league in transition. And then even when it's in the half court, he can slice and dice a defense with his Euro step. Is so effective in some ways, like a Harden, where he'll read and react. If you lean this way, I'll go that way, and finish at the rim. So he's become so good at that, and that's why he's such an effective player in this league.
But, he's not the only player that has really stepped up. I think it was so awesome to see the Kia Center sort of erupt for the play of Jalen Suggs on Thursday night. I mean, the crowd always gets into it when Jalen's sort of feeling it out on the court, but what a performance from him. A season-high 23 points, 20 of those coming in the first 2 frames alone.
No question. The thing with Jalen is if the crowd doesn't get into it on their own, he'll request
Jalen's
that they get into
it happen,
and they find a way to do it. So, you talk about over the course of an 82-game season, some games you have to manufacture energy, and there's no player in the NBA who's a better creator of energy than Jalen Suggs. And that's why you see so often over the course of his tenure here with Orlando, the Magic able to pull away in the fourth quarters, because you play that guy for a full 48 minutes, and he's coming into you on the defensive end. He's being a pest. Then on the other end, he's shooting the ball effectively, scoring, getting the crowd involved. And that's why they've had such a good record here at Kia Center, because it's all a symbiotic relationship. and he's so good at manufacturing that.
You know, and I'm bringing up one of the comments because it says we were worried about how he'd play after surgery. Worry's gone. And I thought it was so interesting to hear him talk post-game about he was asked whether or not he feels like he's the player he was before the injury. And Jalen, as we know, is such an introspective person. He'll really take the time to answer questions. And he was like, I'm not chasing that person. I'm just trying to be the best Jalen Suggs that I can be. And I think Thursday really was a sample of that. I love when he's diving for loose balls. Of course, we want him to be careful and not hurt himself, but it's the hustle that really comes to light in the heart of him as a player.
Yeah, you know, he talked at times about tailoring back, but there's no once that ball tips off, there's no taming Jalen Suggs. As we know, he's a menace on both ends of the court. Plays free, but that's what his teammates love about him. He's got a football player's mentality, grew up playing football, and he lives it. You know, he's a guy who truly loves the game and all the aspects of it, and that's what's so contagious to other NBA players. And he's the personification of a guy. You love him when he's on your team. You hate him if you're on the other side. He's on our team. We're lucky, and that's why we love him so much.
And it's so much fun to see him get after it. I think what was really refreshing about Thursday's win, and we saw it come to light on Tuesday as well, this team is really having fun right now. And I think that's when the Magic are at their best, when they have that swagger, that little bit of attitude about them, and you're seeing them sort of find their rhythm right now.
Yeah, no question. You know, they have a few players up and down this roster who could help find their swagger. Jalen Suggs is one of them. Mo Wagner's not in the lineup right now, but Mo Swagger, when he's in the lineup, is another one of those guys. So for the Magic right now, they need to look at players like Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, etc., to set the tone, because when you're a guard and you could get into that opposing team's guard and really pressure them for a full 94 feet, it can really change the complexity of a game.
You mentioned a few of the key players that we'll have our eye on tonight, but another one that we talked about last game, Tristan da Silva, continues to put together great performances. We talked about the second-year leap that he's making right now. It's been consistent so far, which I think is so impressive to see, that he's not afraid. There's no panic in this team without Paolo Banchero. He's able to step in, and we haven't really seen, so much of a drop-off.
No, and that's the one thing Tristan, I think, learned from year one to year two is that you could be called into action at any time. Last year, he had to play both as a bench player, a starter, back to the bench, etc. over the course of the season. And I think he really took that mindset in the course of the offseason of how do I train, how do I work to be ready to play any type of role in whatever's called upon me. And I think what we saw from Tristan is he did 3 training camps. Prep for Summer League, prep for Eurobasket, prep for the season, and he's had excellent runs in all 3 of those things.
Every time you talk about his summer, I get tired. So,
I know.
Yeah,
I'm tired from covering it.
It's very impressive.
Feels like I've already played 82. Little I haven't even been out on the court.
How many games are we at? I look at my watch like that's going to tell me anything. I'm not wearing
Good
one. Yeah, how
calendar
many games are we at? No. But tonight, the Magic wrapping up a 3-game homestand. As we mentioned, they are welcoming in an Eastern Conference rival in the New York Knicks, a team that they faced not that long ago, just over a week, walked into Madison Square Garden and walked out with a 17-point win. What do you make of the matchup between these two teams?
No, and look, when the Magic beat the Knicks at MSG, they were the first team this season, still the only team this season, to beat the Knicks on their home floor. So if you talk about a team that's going to be looking for revenge and eager to flip the script, it's going to be this Knicks team. And where they're so effective is they're one of the best offenses in the NBA. Their defense isn't too far behind either, but right now they're the 3rd most effective offense in the NBA. And they have players who are very dynamic. You talk about Jalen Brunson, who could score the ball effectively. Karl Anthony Towns, when he's playing the 4 or the 5, can stretch the floor for the other guards, and you've got guys like Bridges, Josh Hart, etc., who could come in and help in various different ways. So they're a well-balanced team. They certainly perform like that, and the statistics back it up.
What do you think was the key for Orlando in that game? Why were they able to be so successful, even in a hostile environment like MSG?
Yeah, so the Knicks don't, commit too many turnovers. They don't give up a lot of points in the paint. So what you really have to do is when you get those opportunities and you get stops, you get turnovers or any of those things, you have to run the other direction and be effective in transition. So I think when we talk lately about the way the Magic have been playing, which is pace off their defense, stops, turnovers, etc., leading to fast break points, that all really began with that Knicks game at MSG, and they've carried it over since. So they're going to need another one of those outings where they really capitalize on the Knicks' mistakes. because the Knicks aren't a team to give up too many paint points. And then on top of that, knock down your open threes when you get them.
Important advice to take hold of tonight. This is, of course, Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. The point of this, to be able to interact with the fans, and a couple of them are mentioning a player that you talked a little bit about for the New York Knicks. I'm sure you've heard of him once or twice, Jalen Brunson. We mentioned Jalen Suggs being the head of the snake for the Magic. Jalen versus Jalen, how do they stack up together?
No, I mean, that is a matchup to watch when you talk about two tough guards. One, Jalen Brunson's so effective at getting to the rack, willing to throw his body around for a smaller guard, plays like a much bigger guy than his size because he is just a dog willing to go and hunt. But on the other side of things, he could be very dangerous, bait for fouls, and get to the free throw line. So that's where a guy like Jalen Suggs, who's very handsy and gets into the ball, has to be careful not to get in foul trouble and put Brunson on the line too many times.
You know, and it's interesting, the Magic have faced 3 top-level elite playmakers of the game back-to-back, right? Steph Curry, James Harden, Jalen Brunson, 3 very different players, but all of them can score at a very high clip. When you look at Jalen Brunson, maybe in comparison to the other two, and we talked about how you defend the other two.
Yeah.
I mean, what is different about Brunson's game?
Yeah, I think some of the other guards, and I'm not saying you won't do this with Jalen Brunson, but when you look at like Steph Curry, who they had, James Harden, you really want to run them off the three-point line. Jalen Brunson, you have to prepare. He's going to come downhill and attack the rack. So I think with him, it's keep your hands up, keep him out of positioning, and really use your team to funnel him away from the basket. That's going to be so key because if you start reaching or go out, he's going to flail, he's going to draw the contact and try to get an and one.
But Jalen Brunson, not the only player that the Magic will have to have their eyes on tonight. I know the Knicks will be without one of their starters, OG Anunoby, as of course the Magic are without one of their starters. But the playmakers around Brunson, we're talking Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges. I mean, how efficient, effective is this Knicks team playing together?
No, this Knicks team is well battle-tested. They've had playoff runs together. They've made additions. And they're in the position right now where they're trying to contend. And you look at a guy like Towns, he can really open up the floor because if you opt to play him as a starting center and make him a 5, he can add space for the drivers like Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson going downhill. If you want to play him at the 4, he can also give you additional rebounding, one of the top rebounders in the NBA, alongside a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who's so effective on the offensive glass. So they really have a few different ways to play. And they can really tailor themselves to their opponent, which makes it difficult because if you do a counter, they have counters back for it.
And I think it's nice for the Magic. Obviously, they know they can beat the Knicks. They did it at MSG. They're looking to protect home, finish out this 3-game homestand strong before they go on a back-to-back tomorrow to Boston. So when you look at how the Magic get a win tonight, and we're thinking about key storylines of this game, what are your top 3?
Yeah, number 1, and we've touched on a few of these because you and the producers do such an excellent job.
Thank you.
Number 1 is keep Jalen Brunson off the free throw line. So when you look at the things the Magic did well in that first game, there were a number of them. But the one thing where they didn't do a great job is they put Brunson at the line 13 times, took 13 free throw attempts. And so that's above his season average. He's still one of the top free throw getters, but that's well above it. They have to keep that number down. Number 2, clean the glass. So imperative against this Knicks team because they have 2, not 1, but 2 top rebounders. Karl Anthony Towns mainly on the defensive glass, and then Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass. He's getting over 5 offensive rebounds a game just about. In about 15 minutes of action. So he is getting 1 offensive rebound basically every 3 minutes he's out there. So he's a guy you have to watch out for over the course of the game with putbacks and things like that. So it takes all 5 guys crashing the glass and boxing those guys out. And then on top of it, stop and run. And what I mean by that is when you get the stops, get out in transition and score. What we saw the Magic do so effectively in that Clippers game was attack in the fast break. They had the second most fast break points in franchise history in that game with 41 of them. If they could get anywhere close to that number, they're coming away with a victory tonight.
And you have to imagine that the Magic are heavily talking about finishing off this homestand with a win. I mean, it's so important to get games at home, add to your win column, especially with the Magic schedule before they travel abroad. It's brutal so far. So what do you think the message has been in the locker room from Coach Mosley? I know you say a lot of the things that we hear him say, but when you're talking about it all together. How do you think that's going for them?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's so good about Mo's, especially when you have a stretch where you're going to be playing a back-to-back in Boston the next night, going against Philadelphia, you got NBA Cup games coming up. He is so good at focusing on the process. So his message is going to be one game at a time, worrying about getting the win tonight, worry about getting your rest after, and he's going to have them focused on the prize. And I think the other thing with him is he's very process-based rather than result. So he's going to be looking at, what have we done well lately? It's been operate with our defense, leading to offensive points. How do we continue that process? How do we continue to find ways to generate more turnovers to lead to offensive success off the defense?
You touched on the upcoming schedule. We're going to get to it in just a second, but I'd be remiss if I didn't read you a comment.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. It says, there are rumors that stuff has been sneaking into Dan's car during these pregame streams to steal his snacks and chew his bubble gum. Confirm or deny the rumors?
I can't deny it. I can't deny it. So if you take that as confirmation, that's on you, but I can't deny it.
What snacks are we talking about?
I mean, there's a plethora. But listen, if you're a snack provider, feel free to send them in. I'm not giving away any free advertisements.
I can totally see Stuff doing that. He's a sneaky one. He used to steal my M&Ms during games. So Stuff, if you're watching this, I didn't forget about that.
Hey, when you're the two-time mascot of the year, back-to-back, you can do whatever you want.
All right. If Dan says it's okay, I guess it's okay. But we are going to get to a couple more of your comments. Not to worry. I want to mention this one. I think he might have just wrapped up warming up behind us. But it's talking about Tyus Jones.
Yeah.
Still learning
This season. A lot of people have poured into that. Tyus Jones is one of them. God Shamgod, who's added as assistant coach this summer, is one of them. Magic head coach Jamal Mosley, etc. You go down the line, but Tyus Jones takes a big role in it. He has taken Anthony Black under his wings, tried to show him the ropes as a true point guard, what he sees. They talk about it after each of them come off the court. So I think he's played a role in the development, in addition to, I know a lot of people want to look at the scoring numbers, etc. when he's on the court. But where he has excelled is he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
When you look at the list of players that have 5 or 6 fewer turnovers for as many minutes he's been on the court, he's right at the top of that. So while you want more out of him in his minutes, his ball security is also contagious. He's helped turn the tide on a Magic team that was plagued with turnovers earlier this year. So I think his impact is felt throughout the team, as Magic head coach Jamal Mosley has alluded to.
And you can see him here in the corner of the screen. He was just shooting jump shots, it looks like. But what I found funny about Tyus, at Media Day, I was talking to Jace Richardson, and he was referring to him as Unc and Grandpa. I think Tyus is 29 years old.
Oof.
How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel old. I mean, when you're around a team that's the 5th youngest in the NBA, in today's NBA, which trends much younger than in, decades past, you'll feel old real fast, And you got producers over here calling me OG, like Will does from time to time. Yeah, you age fast. It's a young man's game out here.
If you're wondering what the Magic think is old, the consensus was anything in the 90s. If you were born in the 90s, you have reached Unc and Aunt status.
Man,
so
I got about 10 years on that. So.
I apologize to any viewers who fall into that category. Oh, you're getting more comments about your snacks.
All right.
Stuff has access to all the snacks.
I like it.
So, Dan, I think you might have opened a can of worms for Stuff.
I think you might have opened the can of worms.
I simply read the comments. I am the messenger.
See,
that is
the
all.
pesky Stuff is going to watch this show and take even more umbrage.
Oh, no. I think I offended a lot of viewers. They're talking about being Unc. I'm so sorry. We'll get back to the Magic and how they're playing. Let's touch one more on the upcoming schedule. Of course, tonight, the first of a back-to-back for the Magic. And what else lies ahead as you look at the upcoming week in Orlando Magic basketball?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about difficult places to play, Boston is at the top
File
of
it
them.
under.
And as we saw last year in the playoffs, and then doing that on the second night of a back-to-back with a team that chucks up threes with the best of them, that's a tough one. Philadelphia, as we saw with its dynamic backcourt of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, is extremely tough. And then if they start to filter in the other guys like Joel Embiid, Jared McCain, Paul George over the course of time, they could become even tougher. And then we talk about, places like Detroit for NBA Cup games. They become a tougher team and could be tough to go against. So there's no gimmies on this schedule coming up for the Magic.
And it's up and down in terms of times, too. So if you're wanting to watch these games, tomorrow night's game tips off at 6 p.m., Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., and then Friday nights at 7:30 p.m. So make sure you're keeping track. I know we're used to a 7 p.m. tip the majority of
you
time.
You get none of those.
You get none of those. So do not look for that 7 p.m. tip. But they do have 2 back-to-back NBA Cup games.
Yep.
The Magic 2-0 right now in NBA Cup games. Do you think the money is a motivator?
Oh, absolutely. The guys have not hid that. They flat out say it. 500K on the line. That's something they're talking about in the locker room, and that's where I think the NBA has done such a good job of, putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. They want to hype it up for the players, the fans, etc. And I think especially as you find yourself in a 2-0 position like the Magic, where you could taste going to that next round, getting a trip to Vegas, all that's exciting. So, yes, I think the Magic are motivated by the opportunity to go to Vegas, play on that stage, and potentially win $500,000.
The NBA Cup, an added motivator in terms of the upcoming schedule, but also the fact that Tuesday night's game is a national broadcast. The Magic back on NBC, NBA on NBC. The first go-around this season.
Gonna hope for better.
Yeah, I was going to say didn't go so well, but you have to imagine that the Magic, it's a motivation. You want to put on a show when you're placed on that platform. You have an extended audience. You want to be able to showcase who you are as a young, up-and-coming team.
No, and the broadcast did such a good job of hyping in with both the lead-in to that game and then with some of the player intros, doing it almost like a Monday. Yeah, exactly. So I loved all the elements of that, and now all we need is a better showing, because what you've seen from the Magic is they've improved dramatically since that game, and I think it'll translate on the court as well.
All right, back here at the Kia Center. I know we talked on the storylines. We talked on some of the players we're looking forward to. But if you had to talk about one thing, maybe one thing or one player you have your eyes on specifically tonight, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Anthony Black if I had to go with a player. I think he could flip a game. And when we see AB score in double figures and have efficient games, they usually lead to victories. And I think for Anthony Black, where it can be so effective is, if Jalen gets in foul trouble or he becomes the second guard to guard Jalen Brunson, and he could really turn him over, I think it could swing the tide of this game. So I think AB's aggressiveness, if it's at a high level, I think the Magic come away with a win tonight. That he could be a big factor in that.
It's been so refreshing to see the aggressive AB. He seems so demure when he's off the court. I know he's taller than anything, especially when he has his big hair. However, but to see him really step into his own, be the aggressor, attack the basket the way he has, it's so exciting for these Magic fans, and they're taking notice as well.
And he seems locked in. I'm just going to judge by the fact the fans couldn't see it because we were running tape from sound from last game. But, he threw a little ball at us, made sure we were on our toes, showcasing his point guard skills and abilities locked in. So little mischievous AB, and maybe that translate on the court where he picked some pockets tonight.
You're not going to shout out my block so it didn't hit you?
I know. Well, we already know you have cat-like reflexes.
Thank you. I needed the shout out. I needed that validation.
Marathon runner, cat-like reflexes. The list go on and on.
All right. Well, enough about me, enough about Dan. This has been Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. Remember, you can catch all of the action on FanDuel Sports Network. Tip us at 5 p.m., but the pregame show begins in just a minute now at 4:30 p.m. on FanDuel Sports Network. So flip on over to them. But for now, I'm Kristen Lago. That is Dan Savage. This has been Courtside Countdown presented by Hard Rock Bet. We will see you next time.
Give the people what they